Hey, how's it going? This is Mr. Hernandez, and I am going to be going over this IXL U.2 Solve a system of equations by graphing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this first one, and I think it would be really useful if you took some notes here. And so what I'm gonna do is recopy this first graph, and that's gonna be y equals negative 3x minus 1. So once you copy this down, what I want you to do is right above it or right below, I want you to recopy this y equals mx plus b. And if you have a highlighter, I would recommend highlighting the m, which is the number in front of the x, which is called the coefficient. So this coefficient, it's the number in front of the x, and it's also the slope. And then you could highlight the b, and let me just highlight this too. And the b represents the y-intercept. So now that you have knowing the slope and the y-intercept, well, the first step 1, is to plot the y-intercept. So you got to do that first. Now, because this y-intercept is -1, here's the y-axis. It's going up and down, so we're going to go to -1 here. And that's step 1, okay, right here. And then step 2 is the slope. Now, in our case, this slope was so I'll put the y-intercept as -1. In this case, the slope is -3. But when you think of slope, you should be thinking of something besides slope. You should also be thinking of rise over run, and that's another important thing to think about when you think of slope. So you need a fraction. And so how do we turn this into a fraction? You could make any number in fraction by putting it over 1. And so now this whole thing is the slope. Rise goes up if it's positive, down if it's negative, and the bottom run goes right if it's positive, and left if it's negative. So the -3 tells us we're going to go down 3 because it's negative, and the bottom is +1, so we're going to go right 1. And that is going to take place from this existing y-intercept. So from this green dot, we're going to go down 3. So 1, 2, 3, and right 1. And this is now our second point. And we could, that's really all you need to graph this first one. And I'll graph it in blue. So once you connect these 2 points, it'll draw the line. So let's see. So the first point is -1, and then down 3, right 1. So let's see. So that's the first point, y-intercept, and then down 3 and right 1 would go there. And so notice it gives you the line already. Okay, so the second point, and again we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to recopy this over here. I would recommend you do the same. Same thing, y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope, which is the coefficient. Technically, there's a -1, so you could add a 1 there. Anytime there's nothing in front of the x, it's technically a 1. And then the b, which is the y-intercept, is your +3. So step 1, plot the y-intercept, which in this case is 3, +3. So we're going to do that here. Right there, that's your y-intercept there, +3. And then the step 2 is the slope, which in this case is -1. And of course we need that to be a fraction. So that's going to be negative 1 over 1. We could add a 1 under it. And so we're going to go down 1 for the negative 1 on the numerator and right 1 for the negative 1 in the denominator. So important to copy these fractions down and draw these arrows. So down 1 and right 1, and that will actually create this second line. So we're going to again start at the y-intercept and apply the slope. So let's see. So now I'm going to click this second one. Notice when you have to click which one you want to graph first, and you need 2 points. First one is the y-intercept, which is at +3, and then down 1, right 1. Okay, so and then it says to type the solution. So the solution is going to be, and you could write this down if you want. The solution is where the lines intersect or cross. And in that case, it's right here, right? And so this, from the origin, we would go left 2 and up 5 to get to that point. So that would be our solution. So negative 2 and +5, and then submit, and then we're done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and graph this one without taking the notes, without writing it down, just so you can see the process. So the first one, it's going to be +7. So I'm going to go up 7 and put a point there. And then that negative x will be negative 1 over 1. So that would be down 1 and right 1 for the first one. Okay, the second one will be up, starting at the y-intercept, that'll be +1, so that'll be +1. And then technically there's no, let me just show you. There's no number, there's no coefficient, but technically there is, right? It's 1 over 1. So that slope is going to be up 1 and right 1 from this y-intercept here. So if I would graph it, it'll go up 1 and right 1, and that would be the line that would be created for the second equation. Okay, and then the solution is where they cross, and they cross right here, right there at 3, 4. That's where they cross. Okay, cool. Now this one I want to definitely show you again another example real quick. So in this case, it's missing something, right? What is it missing? Well, if we write down y equals mx+b, we know that the m, which is the coefficient in front of the x, is your slope, and your b is the y-intercept. And notice there's nothing here. So here we could just say +0. And so if we start at 0, and then the slope is -4 over 1, that means we go down 4 and right 1 from that y-intercept. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. This would be the first graph. And then our second graph, let me actually graph that. Let's see. And then our second graph is going to be from this equation. Again, if we copy y equals mx+b, the coefficient in front of the x is the slope. Technically, that's a 1. And then the number that's being added or subtracted after, that's our y-intercept. That's our starting point. So we're going to start at -5. And then this slope is technically 1 over 1. It's positive, so it's going to go up 1 and right 1. And from this point, it'll go up 1 and right 1. So it'll actually cross right there. So let's graph this one. Starting at -5. Oops. So notice what happens. You got to click on the other graph, the other equation. So I'm going to start at -5 and then up 1 over 1. And I think I messed that purple one up. It should have been here. Okay, cool. And so that point of intersection is 1, -4. Which is right here, right? So that's 1, -4. And that's it. All right, so good luck.